Welcome to the Buccaneers Observer. This is Ralph Phillips. I've got some good news, got some bad news. All of it has to do with injuries. What is up with the Buccaneers and injuries? Can somebody explain that to me? I've got my theories. I've discussed it here quite often. A lot of it has to do with our focus on medical at the Buccaneers. We've got the Advent training, or was it Advent? The training facility, and our stadium is right beside a hospital, cancer hospital. We have 5 doctors on staff, all that good stuff. So we're very focused on medical, and what you focus on becomes reality. But we got good news and we got bad news. Now, we've had quite a few players who have been placed on injured reserve this preseason. Chris Godwin, our wide receiver, who was put on injured reserve last year with a horrible, horrible ankle injury. We were not sure if he was going to be ready for this year, let alone at the start of the season. Now, we're still not sure when he's going to be ready, but he is not going to be placed on IR to start the season. He is going to be on the active roster. He was taken off the PUP list, I believe. So him and our left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, who had surgery during the offseason, they both will be on the active roster to start the season, which means they will not be placed on injured reserve. That's a good thing. That is a good thing. So that means they could play at any time. Anytime. What's up, Tom? Tom getting that number 1 spot. As you can tell, I'm very laid back today. I've had guests for 2 days. Family, I had kind of wouldn't say an emergency visit, but it was a last minute visit. Family came in to visit, stayed the night and everything. And then after they left, we had people come over, and I didn't even get a chance to take a shower or nothing today. So not only do I look rough, I probably smell rough. So Godwin and Tristan Wirfs are going to start the season on the active roster. They are going to be able to play whenever medical staff says they're able to play. So if they're able to play week 1, they will play week 1 probably. We don't know yet. I would doubt if either one of them plays week 1, but it's a good sign. That's saying the medical staff is saying, the coaching staff is saying these guys are going to play within the first 4 games. That's what I'm taking from this, because if they weren't going to play in the first 4 games, they would put them on injured reserve. Okay. Now, the bad news is one of our wide receivers, McMillan, was put on injured reserve. He's the one that got flipped up in the preseason game. Hey, Molly. Look, all the admins are in here. Molly, you're number 2. You gotta get more active, man. Jalen McMillan is put on injured reserves, which means he'll be out at least the first 4 games. That was very surprising to me, because it looked like a pretty tough fall. I think it's more they're just being safe with him. Because neck injuries, you're like, oh, they are serious. Neck injuries are serious. But the way he was acting afterwards, he put a post up, he was like, hey, everything's all right. I'm fine. And he was seen in the locker room with the guys and all that good stuff. I thought that, he might sit out practice for a while, but it was very shocking to me that he was put on injured reserve. And I think it's probably they're just being better safe than sorry, issue. We've had quite a few guys with neck injuries, JPP being one. I remember Mike Allstott. His career was basically over because he played with bad neck injury for a long time. But LMH, what's up, brother? And Molly's coming up. LMH is number 3. So Godwin was in sweats and standing around watching a couple days ago. He's not even close to ready. Well, he's within 4 games ready, is what I'm taking away from this, because if they didn't feel like he was going to play within the first 4 games, I think they would have put him on injured reserve. Now, I'm not sure about all the new rules. They changed some this year again, too, with the way injured reserve is handled. And I'm not sure exactly how many guys they can have on injured reserve now. So, maybe they just didn't want to fill up the spots because we've got, what, 3 already. J.J. Roberts, David Walker, Jalen McMillan. Rashad White, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with him. Let me see if we got any news on him. But it does seem to me that the Buccaneers, especially over the past 5 years, we've just faced more injury-plagued seasons than most teams. I know we've talked about this quite often on here, but I've been scoping around the rest of the league, and the teams just don't seem to get injured like this. It's usually about every third team will get a player put on injured reserve during the preseason. That's a starter, and we seem to get a number of them during the preseason, and then during the season we'll have quite a few. I think I counted last year we had 17 people placed on injured reserve during the season. That's a lot. It's like Lamar Jackson got hurt the other day, and he's fine. He's going to make it. You just see all these guys that get injured across the league, and then they're fine. They don't get put on in reserve. I just wonder if we're just a little too cautious. Don't know. It's a little frustrating though. It's a little frustrating. Like we talked about our wide receiver room and how when we drafted Egbuka, we're like, why in the world did we draft Egbuka? We got a stacked wide receiver room to begin with, and now all of a sudden, we got wide receivers dropping like flies. I remember this happened a few years ago. Me and Molly always talked about this. At one point, we had an incredibly stacked linebacker room. I think it was the first year with Devin White, and it might have been the second year. And then, like 3 or 4 games into the season, we were down to 1 starting linebacker. It just seems to happen a lot with us. It's almost like any room or any position group that is stacked for the Buccaneers, it's almost like a curse. They're going to have injuries during the season. But again, I'm going to do research on this. I'm going to compare the rest of the league, their injury rates to the Buccaneers. I don't know. I want to say it's going to show that the Buccaneers have more injuries, but at the same time, I'm like, man, I'm just being biased. This is the whole, the Buccaneers, it's kind of like the penalties where fans always think that their team gets more flags thrown on them, that the refs are biased against their team. Although the Buccaneers are. The refs are biased against the Buccaneers. So it looks like Egbuka will start the beginning of the year, I assume, and we all kind of felt this way, but it's not going to be for the 4 games. That was really a big thing that I was interested in was Godwin going to be placed on injured reserve? I'll be shocked. I will be 100%, and y'all saw after the injury last year, I was depressed for like 2 weeks because I was like that his career's over. That's 2 very, very bad injuries, not just bad physically, but just they looked really bad. I thought his career was over. And if he plays this year, I will be completely amazed. I think that this guy is like Superman. But I would be very surprised if he plays the first part of the season. But then they didn't put him on injured reserve. I was like, so they must expect him to be ready, within the first 4 games. Don't know. Wirfs will definitely be ready. I think he'll probably only miss a game, maybe 2. Adam Schefter is saying that Godwin's not expected to play until October. So he was activated off the PUP list. They'll have him on the 53 roster to start the season, but only to begin his ramp-up process for games, not to immediately play in them. Godwin is still unlikely to play until October. So that's 4 games? Why wouldn't they put him on injured reserve? I don't know. It's cool though, in a sense that we'll get to see Egbuke. You know, I mean, he was going to play quite a few snaps anyhow, but it'll be neat to see him in the starting role as the slot or whatever position he's going to play. I would imagine he'll be slot. Don't know. He could play outside. Sterling Shepard could play slot. So that's the big news. But I mean, it's just, I mean, we've already got three guys on injured reserve. It just doesn't, I mean, it just doesn't seem right, right? We did sign safety Will Brooks from, he played with the Tennessee Volunteers. So we'll see what he's got. All of a sudden, we're thin at safety, right? No Bucs starters are going to start in this game against the Bills Saturday. So we get to see the scrubs some more. So who was it? I think it was Craig said that watching preseason game is like finding nude pictures of your aunt. You want it to be exciting, but it's just not. I like watching preseason games of the Buccaneers. Now, any other team, I don't give a crap about, but it's fun watching the Buccaneers because you see these guys. Every now and then you'll see a gem, like Grant Stewart was one of them, where I was like, that guy is awesome. But it's fun watching them, out there, seeing who really wants it. This is their time to shine, especially game 3. This is a lot of these guys. This is the last time they'll ever play football again. It's kind of sad, but it makes it a little bit interesting. Let's hit the like button. Where's the MK at, man? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, hey, what's up, Rampage? Yeah, we don't draft character concerns, but we do draft injuries. Like Morrison, what? Is he going to see the field? I mean, the preseason's almost up. How in the world is he going to start in the regular season or play in the regular season, except if somebody gets hurt? If he doesn't ever get on the practice field. So we do have one of the longest lists for injuries. 6 to 8 worst. See, I thought we'd be in the top 3. Week 9 for Godwin? Wow. Well, why wouldn't they put him on the injured reserve then? That would free up a roster spot. I don't know. The whole injured reserve thing now is it's kind of like the salary cap. It's just so confusing anymore that it doesn't really even exist. It's so complex, it's broken, Yeah, the story of Alex Smith coming back from the broken leg. Yeah. Yeah, did you see his rehab and everything, and then what his red leg looked like? Woof, woo. That was tough to watch, man. Yeah, I keep up with the division news, and I try to watch the division preseason games, but it's just to see if anybody stands out on their roster. They're undrafted free agents that we might be able to pick up or whatever. But I don't know most of the guys. I don't keep track of their roster and who's what. It's just if somebody pops out, it's like, man, the Saints, woof, man, do they look bad? They look bad. And I was saying Monday that the Rattlers they don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be yet. The Rattlers started the second half, the whole second half. He played the whole second half. That completely shocked me. I was shocked when he went out there. And, in the second half. And then he just played and kept playing and kept playing. I was like, all the way through. All the way through. And I'm like, man, what are they doing over there? They're having a tough time trying to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. I think they're caught between a rock and a hard place. I don't think they have really any good options there. They look bad. Carolina didn't look too good either. What's up, Blake? Garage. Oh, McMillan is week 9, not Godwin. Okay. Week 9? Wow. Dang. That neck must have been a lot worse than we thought. Man, that seems like almost a fractured bone or something. Yes, we do still have what's her name? I never get it right anyhow. The Jardafar. Yep, she's still out there. She was on the sidelines during the preseason game. Matter of fact, my daughter kept pointing her out. She's like, "Oh, hey, look, there's that girl." She's awesome. I love her. She's so into the. Hey, what's up, Gotti? She's so into the team. She's just over there cheering on and smacking dudes on the butt when they walk by, and it's great, man. You generally don't see like a staff member like that, like they're so into the team. One of the medical personnel. The only playoff team this high with injuries. Yeah, yeah. I've got to do some research on that. Get some hard data, some stats, and it really does seem that it's been since right around 2018, 2019. I don't want to say since Bowles has come in, but it just seems like right around that period is when, anytime anybody stubs a toe, they're out for a couple weeks. But it might be our cornerbacks, because Dean and Davis and all those guys, man, they were getting hurt all the time. And it just seems like they were rotating who was going to play, who was going to be hurt every other week. Dean is he's never played a full season. Don't know how many people are going to be in the fantasy league right now. Rampage, we have 8. I haven't been pushing it and I got to do that soon. If anybody wants to play fantasy football, hit me up. I need to put the link up in the chat. All right, Gotti. Thanks for popping in, man. Godwin's does have good hands, and he's a good blocker. He's not great. He's not fantastic, but he gets the job done. Uh, and I like him because after he catches the ball, he's very physical. He will try to run you over, and I like wide receivers that do that. But we got that Tej Johnson, and we watched him. We watched some of his college tape, and the guy is not physical at all. He just avoids contact as much as possible. But that's also a good thing because he's very good at avoiding contact. And we watched him return the kicks and the punts during the preseason, and he's got some moves on him. He juked out 5 guys. We saw 5 guys were unblocked coming at him, and he ran this away and then cut back that away, and 2 of them fell down because he like broke their ankles. They were trying to turn, but so that's it's kind of a negative and positive. But he no blocking skills whatsoever. But he has horrible control of the football. We watched him. He was getting the ball a lot in college, and I think we watched a little over a quarter of his play. And he touched the ball like 12 times. And in those 12 times, I think he had 2 or 3 fumbles. And he's already had 2 with us. Like, ugh. We'll put some stickum on his hands. Who is in charge of our strength and conditioning? That's a good question. I think Jadardafar I think she's in charge of rehab. They've got all these, we've got a lot of medical personnel. Let's see. I'm going to go and look and see what we come up with here. Coaches. Josh Grizzard. Grizzard. Okay, strength and conditioning coach is Corey. I don't know how to pronounce his name without cussing. Looks like Bitchy. Bichey. Corey Bikey. Oh, he's the assistant strength and conditioning coach. So why is he all the way up at the top? Special teams. Who's our special teams coach? Thomas McGaughey. First season as special teams coordinator with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So why would they have the assistant strength and conditioning coach way up top? Okay, Javadifar is director of rehabilitation and performance. So she's rehab. Okay, the head strength and conditioning coach is Anthony Paroli. How long has he been with us? 6 seasons. Wow. That's right when I said, what did I say, 2018, 2019? So he will enter his 6th season. So that means he's been with us for 5 years. So since 2020. No, wait. This is a year behind. It says enters his 6th season in 2024. So this will be the 7th season. So 6th season, 4, 5, 6. So that'd be 2018, 2019. Okay, 2019. Yeah, he came in with the new coaching regime under head coach Bruce Arians. He implemented a comprehensive virtual workout program involving two-way communication. He creates individualized workouts based on equipment availability and positional requirements. He was originally, he worked as the strength and conditioning coach at Mississippi State. Gotti. Oh, and he was an assistant strength and conditioning coach for the Arizona Cardinals. Interesting. Rampage, you have to wear a wig. Which they'd probably hire you in a heartbeat if you did that. He can't practice with the team. So Godwin can't practice with the team if they keep him on PUP, and he'd have to rehab away from the team. Okay. To me, it seems like they're expecting him to come back within the first 4 games. Don't know. Hopefully Grizzard will get it done on 3rd down. I'm excited because they're keeping the same offense, except they're going to go more vertical, which is great. The big thing I'm looking for, and we haven't seen it at all this year in preseason, is that razzle dazzle handoff stuff. I don't know if that was a Liam Cohen thing. Don't know if that's a Baker Mayfield thing. But man, they used it last year and I loved it. I hope they keep it up. We'll find out if we don't do it this year, then we know it's a Liam Cohen thing. But the rest of the offense is going to be the same. Hopefully, our run game will be at least back up to where it was, not like it was against the Steelers. Woof. That was tough, man. That was tough. We didn't expect our starters to go out there and get beat up like that in the run game. Why do you think his leadership may be a problem? From what I understand, everybody loves Grizzard. Grizz. I like him. He seems really cool. Down to earth. Communicates pretty good. 90 versus 53. Yeah. Yeah. When is that? Tuesday? Tuesday is the cut. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday? And it's all at one time. That's another weird thing too. All my life it's always been staggered. You know, you had you went from 90 man down to like 80, and then down to 70, and then 53. Now it's all at one time. Oh, cut. Tuesday. Tuesday at 4 p.m. Got to get down to 53 man. Man, that's going to be a sad day for a lot of guys. That's wild. I mean, it's just going to be, the market is going to be flooded with players. It's going to be a smorgasbord. It's going to be like a feeding frenzy. All these teams picking up players from all these other teams that they had to cut. That's going to be a crazy day. This is the first year they've done this, right? And then the very next day, by 1 p.m., the teams have to announce the practice squads. Wow. So they're going to cut down to 53, and then everybody's going to be scrambling to pick up players from that got cut. And then they have to announce their practice squads by the next day at 1 p.m. That's going to be a big day. I might live stream. That's at 4 p.m. Yeah, I might do that. That's going to be huge. It's going to be crazy. There's going to be signings all over the place. That's going to be fun. It's going to be like chum in the water. The end arounds. You know, I really liked it last year. And as the year got going, we got better and better and better until the Redskins game. It was a Redskins game. We had it down. It was perfect. We were doing it so nice and sweet, confusing the mess out of the defense. And Baker's really good at it. But that Redskins game, we fumbled, and I don't think we had fumbled doing that all year. Desmond Watson should not make the practice squad. Yeah, I think they're going to put him on. I remember reading something, and coach was talking about Desmond Watson as we're going to keep him on the team, but it's going to be on some type of program. Uh, oh, and it's a program where he's not going to collect a salary. He's going to be a part of the team. He's not going to. Where is that? Let me look. Because they've got this whole program going with him losing weight, and they said he's doing really good, and they want to see him continue doing it, so they're going to keep him on. I know I've got that around here somewhere. Oh yeah, Jalen McMillan's going to miss 8 games. Wow, severe neck strain. I had it right here in my notes. I didn't realize it was that long. He did. I didn't think he was going to miss any time. The way he was acting. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay. 464 pounds is what he entered the league weighing. He's still on the non-football illness list, NFI. And Bowles was asked about him, and he said this. He said, quote, "That's something we're going to meet about in the next 2 days. I'd like to have some long-term plans for him going forward because he's making some progress. And I feel like down the line, he can help us. But we'll have those conversations toward the end of the week." This was, I have a date for it here. This had to have been the past day or so. So, uh, it was breaking down how the Buccaneers can keep Watson into the regular season despite him not playing. And he said Watson could go to the reserve NFI list to start the year, and that would allow him to continue his goal of losing weight. This is from Sports Illustrated. He would not count toward the active roster on this list, but the team also doesn't have to pay him. So it's likely they'd come to some sort of agreement on that end. Once the team wants Watson to make an attempt to play, he would have 21 days to come off the NFI list. After that period of practice, the Buccaneers can either cut him or activate him to the active roster. So that would leave them some options. So, okay, so the NFI list, we've been dealing with this for a while. It's just, gosh, it's so confusing, all these designations anymore. It is. It's like the salary cap. It's so confusing. Nobody understands it, and people get away with murder with it. So that's what we might do. But the way Bowles was talking is he definitely plans on keeping Watson around. He's not going to make the practice squad for sure. So we'll put him on the NFI. I didn't know the NFI list, you don't get paid. And I wonder if you can get signed off the NFI list like you can with the practice squad. Need to buy another team. Who's Grizzly going to be the head coach of next season? Well, Tom, that's a good thing or a bad thing. If he goes to be a head coach next season, that just means we did a really good job offensively. So I guess I won't be too bad. We're really developing a coaching tree, aren't we? Todd Bowles is coaching tree. Wrong guy head of the player injuries. MH, it makes you wonder. You just gotta wonder. It's like if you've got a wide receiver and he's not catching touchdowns or getting yardage or first downs or something like that, you go out and you get a new wide receiver. Why wouldn't you do that with medical personnel? If your players are getting injured and not getting back on the field, maybe go get a new strength and conditioning coach. I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to know what the progress is with Watson. Is he losing weight? They say he is, but how serious is it with he? I mean, he's a big guy. What is he, 6'6"? But when you look at him, you can tell he's carrying a lot more weight than he needs to be. I mean, he could get down to probably 390 and be svelte. Tej Johnson said he's gotten up to 160 pounds. No, 100 was it 160? Yeah. So he's gained some weight. Well, you get some teams that are just stacked at certain positions, like the Browns, they got great defensive ends. They're going to have to cut some defensive ends that would probably be starters on other teams. Offensive linemen, that's a really good place to get offensive linemen is, the 53 man cut down because a lot of, some teams have really good offensive lines. They got decent backups. So they're having to cut guys that could be starters on other teams. Offensive linemen are just the weirdest thing. You would think it wouldn't be such a difficult job to be so good at. And it's so rare to find offensive linemen that are, good. Oh, I hope so, LMH. The Redskins? Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope they fall apart. You got the sophomore year, you got the wide receiver room is not very happy. Terry McLaurin's wanting a trade and all that good stuff. He's mad Debo Samuel got brought in. Uh, but they did bring back Cliff Kingsbury, and y'all know I think Cliff Kingsbury is excellent coach. And for him to stay on as offensive coordinator, he probably had offers to be a head coach. And I think he wants to play with that quarterback a little bit more. But yeah, I'd love to see them crash and burn. Not a big Redskins fan. Had to watch them growing up. It was back before the days of NFL Sunday Ticket and everything. You had to watch what came on TV, and they showed local teams, and I had to watch the Redskins for 30 years. I should have moved to Florida. Huh? Almost did. Almost moved to Tampa. Matter of fact, we had plans on moving to Tampa, and uh, I sold a condo and wasn't quite ready to go to Tampa yet, and I got a rental place, and my mom and her husband, my stepfather, they went down to Tampa to scout it out because they were going to move down there too. We got family that live in Tampa, and they went down there and they came back and they were like, we didn't like anything down there. And I ended up staying in that rental place for like 5 years. It was a little duplex. It was horrible. You get stuck. You know how things are temporary. But never did move to Tampa. It's so hot. I have a hard time with that type of heat. I lived in Florida for quite a few years. Uh, Never in Tampa. I lived in Ocala, Cocoa Beach, Fort Walton, Panama City area, Panhandle. But the heat, man, that heat, I don't handle the heat that well. They've been doing that since 2023, Tom. Are you sure? So they started it in 2023, or they? I'll take your word for it. So they've done it 2 years now. Well, it's new to me. I guess my dementia started 2 years ago. They're going to send him to a fat camp. Oof. That's a lot of weight. 464 pounds. What's their target? Do we know? What are they trying to get him down to? I want to see him just be a fullback. Just put him in at short yardage situations. The Philadelphia Eagles can have the tush push. We'll have the I don't know, the Desmond Dirigible, the Watson hole driller. We'll come up with some good nickname. Yeah. Just have Bucky Irvin stand behind Detson Watson or Desmond Watson as he walks through the line. She ain't gonna be able to knock him down. The Dolphins. Team don't look serious when they show him to the fans. It's almost like a circus. Like, look at our bearded lady. Yeah, yeah, right. From like October to May. Very nice. There was two things that I had a problem with when I lived down in Florida was the heat and the bugs. Man, lots of bugs. You live in Florida, you just got to deal with bugs. There ain't no getting away from the bugs. Huh. I did not know that, Tom. I thought this year was the first year they were doing the cut. Yeah, That's what I was thinking, MH. 380, he would probably look svelte. Because if you look at him, he definitely looks overweight, but not like, uh, you see these guys that are just morbidly obese and they just kind of hang out everywhere. He doesn't look like that, you know. And you're like, you lose about 100 pounds, man. That'd probably fit your frame pretty good. Yeah, those gnats, man, those were the things. I couldn't stand them. And you could not keep away from them. You just couldn't do it. They would come through the screens in your house. There was just no way to get away from them. They were everywhere. And then palmetto bugs. I didn't even mind the alligators. It was the gnats. And every time me and Molly has gone down there for the games, that's why last year when we decided what game to go to, Molly was like, let's make it late in the year. We've gone in September and early in the year before, and it's like, oh, horribly hot. And we always sat on the east side where the sun's just baking down on you. There's no shade. It's like, "Ugh." Horrible. All right, let me look at some more news. Make sure I covered everything. I feel gross and sticky. I haven't showered. We're gonna look at some game film here that steals. Yeah, they're hitting me with uh monetization crap with this game film. So I just turned. That's why y'all aren't seeing any ads. I just turned it all off. I'm like, who cares? Yeah, Tyke Smith. Did Christian Asian get hurt? No, we haven't seen Tyke all year. I thought I had a list here. Apparently I didn't. Or I just don't know where it's at. That's more likely. I didn't put it in the right spot. But a list of all of our injuries that we're dealing with right now and previously. Okay, teams can place two players on injured reserve. This is a new NFL rule without them being on the 53-man roster. Ugh. So for a day, I don't even understand that. That's what I'm saying. All this designation stuff has just gotten so confusing. I kind of miss the old days where it was like, you get put on injured reserve, that's it. And that's all there was. There was injured reserve or you were on the roster. When's the next game? Is there a game on tonight? Let me look. I want to watch some football. We've got our game is Saturday against the Bills. And that is going to be at 7:30 p.m. So we've had all three of our games have been night games. Friday. Oh, there's a game tonight. Two of them. Oh, there's one right now. Carolina. What are we doing? How did I not know that? And then at 8 is the Giants and the Patriots. And tomorrow night, there's 4 games. Atlanta and Dallas. I have to watch that. That's at 8 p.m. So Carolina and Pittsburgh are playing right now. I don't see a score. Let me look. Oh, 3-0. Carolina. This is the first quarter. 2:57 in the first quarter, though. Dang. What if they're starting any of their starters? It's funny. My sister came in, and she's been a Carolina Panthers fan since they've been a team. She's lived here in North Carolina, and she said this year they're not even going to watch. They're watching WNBA instead. I was like, woof, you must really be, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel there. But she's like, we just can't watch the Panthers anymore. They're just, it's so hard to watch. I was like, I enjoy watching them. They're so bad. Okay, they got Andy Dalton out there. No, wait, he's questionable. That's the injury report. Why would they show me the injury report? Okay. Jake Plummer. That's not Jake Plummer for sure. ETN. Carolina picked up ETN. Jack Plummer. That must be Jake Plummer's son. He's 3 of 4 for 12 yards. What is going on here? Damn. Nobody's doing anything over here. Huh. When is Canales getting fired? We wrote down, we had a prediction and wrote it down. I said this year, right? Let me see if I can find the predictions. I wrote it down somewhere. Well, how about Joe Flacco is going to be the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback? What is wrong with that team? I know we talked about this, but it's just amazing to me. Why would you draft 2 quarterbacks and start Joe Flacco? It's like they have no idea what they're doing over there. I guess that's obvious, but still, it's shocking. I don't have the predictions. Oh, here we go. Nope. Oh, I said the Steelers are going to be really good. Tom, you told Adam that if Reddick gets 11 plus sacks, you're going to buy him dinner. But the bet didn't go through because you couldn't agree on if Reddick did not get 11 plus sacks. So I know we did the Canales thing. I must have written it down on some paper. Oh, that's his younger brother. Not the good Etienne. Oh, I know, Molly. Yeah, things got to be really rough if you're going to watch the WNBA. Although now they're starting to fight. That's pretty cool. Oh, they don't think he's the fan, or they don't think he's the guy. LMH Canales. I know my sister was like, she can't stand the owner. And I was like, yeah, he's pretty bad. He's pretty rough. Reminds me of another Dan Snyder, where he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he wants to make all the decisions. Trask is going to start the final preseason game. He's going to have to go out there and show something. I think what Teddy Bridgewater showed, I mean, will we keep three quarterbacks? I don't know. We'll probably keep two and then put Trask on practice squad, maybe. Can we even do that? I don't even know how the practice squad works anymore. Heck, yeah. Charlie Heck. I tell you what, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. He's not, I mean, if he can just hang in there, just hang in there. I'm not expecting a lot out of the guy. Just hang in there. Don't get Baker Mayfield killed. That's all I'm asking. You made a 350-pound guy the quarterback. Dang. Yeah, I had a friend of mine. He was a offensive lineman for the Georgia Bulldogs, and I've always been fast. I ran track and all that good stuff. Went to state in high school, and uh, he challenged me one day. He was talking about uh, his 40-yard speed, and I was like, "There's no way you could beat me in 40 yards." And he almost did. I mean, it was close. I was amazed at how big that guy was. And I mean, I was only 6 inches in front of him, maybe. But we started running, and I was like, whoa, this guy's keeping up with me. Those guys are great athletes, some of them. I think Canales is going to get fired this year, midway through the season. November. Let's say November. I know I got this written down somewhere. Yeah, if we were ever going to watch the WNBA, it probably would have been around 2013, 2000, 2011, 2012. I would say the Lovey Smith years were really the low point for me. That was just some bad, ugly football. 2011 was the worst season I've ever seen any team ever play football, but it was only from like week 5 on. And then it was just a crap fest until Cutter or Cotter. And then it was okay, but then Arians really just popped it off. But yeah, if we were ever gonna abandon watching the Buccaneers and watch WNBA, it would have been during that time period. That was a rough decade, man. It was rough. Adam Satterley, he was a regular last year. Oh, you think Teddy's going to go to practice squad and Trask will be the backup? That'll be interesting. Yeah, that's the problem, and that's how Dan Snyder was too. You know, you become a billionaire and you think you know everything. That Tepper though, oof, he's he's tough, man. He's he's gonna make the Panthers a bad team for a very long time until somebody until he realizes I got to just stay out of it. Have you been recruited for the WNBA or the Buccaneers? Ilmash, did you see where he got kicked off his when he was coaching there at the high school, where they banned him from the facilities and everything for spending money on the players. He was spending his own money on the guys. That's according to him. I'm not exactly sure what the official story is, but yeah, I was like, oof. Your alma mater hires you and then kicks you off the property. Like, man. Yeah, we get used to watching these guys on TV, and we don't realize how good of athletes they really are because they're all good. Some of them are just really, really good. But yeah, it totally changed my mind about these guys when I raced him 40 yards. Oh, he was trucking, man. Big old dude too. Like, how is that even physically possible? Now, granted, I'm not the best sprinter in the world. I mean, I'm not slow, but I'm more of a long distance guy, cross country, or was. I don't run anymore at all. I haven't ran in years. I don't think we're going to get to watch it in a game film. We'll do that tomorrow night. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do with the live streams is I'm not going to have the ads on the live streams because I don't like them to begin with. And the reason why I do it is because if you don't monetize it, then YouTube doesn't bump your or promote your live stream. But so I'm gonna turn the ads off for the live stream, and then like tonight, if we don't, since I didn't show any all 22, I'll just turn it on so all the people that didn't show up, they can watch ads. So all the all the elites that show up for the live stream get ad free. So I'm gonna start doing that, and that way when I do show game film, I can just not worry about the ads. NFL can take that 30 cents they're gonna make. They're so greedy. They're so greedy. Oh, you're being recruited by another podcast? Tom, you do you, man. Go get your bag. That's wild, MH. I didn't know that you couldn't spend your own money, but I guess it makes sense. Again, so many rules and regulations, but apparently he was spending a lot of money, even by his own account, a lot. Yeah. I was like, woof, you trying to win. Tom, they did not like Dan Snyder for a very long time. I think it was political. He's DC. DC's a, liberal town, and he was not a liberal. I think he even like hosted Trump at some point at the state or something like that. But anyhow, uh, the DC the journalist and everybody hated him. But also he was really crappy at building teams. He was just involved too much. He I remember he was like every year he'd be like, let's just get the biggest name player that's a free agent. He didn't care if they were any good or washed up. He just wanted to fill in the seats. And he really lost the fan base. I didn't know any Redskins fan, and I knew quite a few that liked Dan Snyder. The Lakeland Dreadnoughts. That's a cool name. What's their mascot? I have to look that up. Lakeland Dreadnoughts. Is it like a knight? That's a big L. What? That can't be right. Why would you have such a cool name and then have such a crappy logo? Does it even have a mascot? It's just a big L, man. What is a dreadnought? That's what popped up when I. Oh, it's a big boat. A warship, huh? Okay. I don't see. I don't see a mascot. They don't have a mascot. Big dude with a ship on his head or something. The Dexter High School Dreadnought's got a pretty cool logo, like the front of a battleship. That's pretty cool. Just a big L. And I don't see a mascot at all. I can't find anything about a mascot. How do you have such a cool name and then such a boring logo and no mascot? Missing out media opportunities there, man. They did have on their Instagram account, they did have a picture of a warship on Veterans Day. So that's cool. At least they acknowledge their namesake. It's a ship anchor. An anchor sits outside the school. That's cool. It should be a like a ship cannon or something. With guns. Okay, here they got on homecoming in 2023. They had a like a big float that had it was a ship and had cannons coming off of. I say cannons, but big guns. Yeah, I didn't like that either, Tom. I thought that well, things were weird there for a while. The whole John Gruden incident, and then the Dan Snyder stuff, and then it was just like the NFL got really controlling. I didn't like it. Oh, they got an anchor on the uniform. Orange and black, man. Those are cool colors. Halloween. They're getting all kinds of perks and money, etc. I know college is just infested with it. So I imagine, yeah, high school is going to follow that route. It's going to be weird. Football has changed so much in the past 25 years for sure. Uh, 20 years, anyhow, in so many ways. But it's changed a lot since I started watching it as a youth. But it seems like they're going in a path of, I mean, it's definitely, the NFL has just, they're just flush with cash. I mean, they're just making so much money. And now it's all about the money. And the college is about the money. And it sounds like the high school is about the money. And, you know, I don't begrudge anybody making money and everything, but I don't want it to be all about the money. We got gambling now that's sanctioned by the teams and the NFL itself. And I'm just like, money, 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 money. If I want to watch money sports, I'll watch the stock market. Moneyball. Yeah, I did not agree with the way the colleges were making so much money and the players weren't getting any of it. But I don't really like the way the NIL stuff is doing now. I would prefer to see it where, gosh, I don't even know how to do it. I don't even know how you would do it. But I did not feel it was right. These colleges were making hundreds of millions of dollars off these guys, and they weren't getting anything. They weren't even allowed to get any money. They weren't even allowed to get a bus ticket. So that had to change. But now I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out and trickles up, trickles down. Scandals, there's going to be a boatload of scandals. Don't know, man. Don't know. Yeah, college has been. Wait, college was the original football sport. The NFL didn't. NFL, when I was growing up watching the NFL, those guys didn't make crap. I mean, he didn't make nothing. And I feel so bad for him now. It's like Terry Bradshaw. I know he's got to look at these contracts where these guys are making $200 million guaranteed, and his contracts were like, $100,000, you know. These guys, when I was growing up, they weren't playing football for the money. And it's just got to be so hard, for these, especially the quarterbacks who are like, I got destroyed every play. There was no rules to protect me, and I didn't get paid crap, you know. And now these guys are getting protected, and they're getting these huge contracts. And Terry Bradshaw's total salary was between 2 and 3 million over his career. His peak salary in the late 1970s reached 400,000. Wow. Still though, 1970, that was a lot. That was that was probably now, even with inflation, that's still only like 4 million. He played 14 years and only made less than $3 million over his. What the, oh God. Could you imagine? Just think of your job now. You're working your job. And then, you know, 15 years after you quit, 20 years after you quit, guys are doing the same exact job. It's easier and they're making $200 million a year. It'd be horrible. And think about all the college players. All these guys who went through college and sacrificed their bodies and all that good stuff. They didn't get paid nothing. And now you got these college kids that are coming up, who are making all this money in college. They're coming into the NFL with more money than the NFL players have. Oof. How long will it take before all the players that are out of the NFL who didn't play with NIL, what's that going to be? Another 15 years, probably. It's going to be that one guy left on the team who's like, when I was playing in college, we didn't have money. That's wild. Imagine Terry Bradshaw's done pretty good with his broadcasting career. He's been doing that forever. Good grief. How long has he been doing that? 40 years? How did this become the Terry Bradshaw show? I didn't really like Terry Bradshaw as a quarterback. I was a Roger Staubach fan. But I did like Pittsburgh Steelers. Broadcasting career. Here we go. He start he started his broadcasting career in 1984, right after he retired from football. He retired in July 24th, 1984, and signed a television contract shortly thereafter to become a game analyst for the 1984 season. Wow. So that's been 46 years. Wow. Jimmy Johnson's not going to be on any of the programs this year, right? He retired. That's going to be weird. He's been a staple too since the 90s. Evans is the oldest receiver. And Hill? Yeah, that's what I think too, MH. It should be a set wage, and it should be merit based. You know, you get more for producing more and all that good stuff, but everybody should get paid. Injury compensation, yeah, yeah, definitely that. Because it is so heartbreaking when these college players get hurt and, you know, it's the end of their career, all their dreams and hopes are gone. You're just like, oh man, if you could have just made it to the NFL for a couple years. Yeah, I loved Roger Staubach, but I was always torn between the two because I liked the Steelers, I liked their defense, and I liked the Dallas Cowboys defense, but I really liked the Dallas Cowboys offense. But then again, I liked Lynn Swan, you know, so I just liked both teams. I was always a player guy. I liked players. I know Molly sent me a video the other day of a this guy's wife pulled a prank on her husband. She was looking up VCRs, and he was like, she was like, "Gosh, these things are expensive." And he was like, "Why are you looking at VCRs?" He was like, "I was going to buy you a gift." He was like, "What in the world could, you know? There's nothing I can't watch on streaming or whatever that I could download." And she was like, "Yeah, I was going to get you some old Dallas footage from when they were good. It's only on VHS." That was funny. I liked Aikman. I liked those years were good too. You know, I always liked they really focused on offensive line, run game, stuff like that. Uh, I've never had a problem with Dallas. You know, a lot of people dislike them because they've always been America's team, and you know they always get so much attention. I've never had a problem with Dallas. I understand why people would dislike them now. All right, guys, I'm gonna get off here, go get me something to eat, finish watching this game, get ready to watch the next game. I didn't know there was a game on tonight. Tomorrow night we're gonna get on and do some all 22. We're gonna wrap up this Buccaneers Steelers game. So you people that work for the NFL that are scouring my videos, meet me here tomorrow night. You can get my 30 cents. What a horrible job that must be. Yeah. Cap ruined the run, yeah. I know. I miss a good run game. It kind of came back last year, I thought. There was quite a few teams that were really past couple years. But last year was really, it seemed like there was a lot of dominant run teams, us being one of them. I'd love to see run game come back. Oh, okay. Tom's got a story. What does your dad do for a living? Jimmy. I got to say it in the teacher's voice. Jimmy, what does your dad do for a living? Hey, Tom, how long does it take you to type something? You type it on one of those old typewriters, like clack, clack, clack. What in the world? Tom. Is this a Jimmy Johnson joke? Yeah, Jimmy Johnson. He's embarrassed to tell people he was a Dallas Cowboys coach, but not that. Okay. I get it. I think. Is that it? You done? Whew. I need to use the bathroom. Coffee's getting to me. All right. I think we covered everything. And like I said, we'll pick up tomorrow, watch some more of this Steelers game, and then we'll talk about the Bills game coming up. And whatever news is coming out. So we'll see y'all tomorrow, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Until next time, go Bucs.